So, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm super excited. I am super excited. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So, hopefully, everybody can see my screen. This is Trademark 101 with your girl, Coach Shey Morton. I'm super excited to be here. We're getting ready to share a lot of information, So make sure that you mute your phones. And if you have any questions, make sure that you write them down because we will not stop during this at all for questions. We're going to get all the questions at the very end because I have a tendency of answering your questions along the way. So you don't have to ask them. And if I do miss them, I'm going to ask them at the end. But just make sure that you write down your questions. I always say have a pen and a paper because I don't want you to forget. Could be something really that you needed to know or you or someone else needed to hear. So just make sure that you mute your phones and we'll answer questions at the end of the class. So you know me, Shey Morton. Y'all know me as Jersey Shey. Y'all know me as Coach Shey. Y'all know me. Y'all know me from social media, Business 911. Y'all know me from a lot of stuff. So I have been in business 18 years right now. As of now, 18 years, steady, strong, 18 years. I've assisted over 900 businesses and I'm super excited. Started with the cleaning service, ended here with you guys. So it's all about the hustle and consistency. So, are you in the right room? And I ask this question because a lot of times I get clients who come to this class and they're thinking they're getting stuff copyrighted, patented, all this kind of stuff. So let me explain what trademarking is and what it does really quickly. You're going to trademark your names, your logos, your phrases, your symbols, anything that represents your brand. You're going to copyright any books, any recipes, any kind of works of art that are as far as words forming together to form one thing, a song, something like that, or book. You get those things copyrighted. It's many things put together to complete to provide one complete form of art or finished product, should they say. And your patents are your inventions. Those are your ideas. It could be from, something that you designed, that you created. There's nothing else like it, and you want to get your idea patent. That's what that is. So it's trademarked for your logos, your designs, your brand, copywriting, written or copywriting for your books, your recipes, your workbooks, things like that. Anything where it's lots of pieces of material put together to have one finished product. Like a song has many, many words in it, but without all of them in sync and lined up the way that they're lined up, that's what provides you the finished product, the song. And patents, which is your inventions and your ideas. So what's the difference? We talked about that just now. Difference between trademarks, patent, and copyrights. And at some point, there is a video we usually show, but you're not able to hear it in Zoom. So there's a video on the trademark on YouTube from the United States Patent and Trademark Office that provides more details between the three. But today we're just going to cover trademarks. So let's talk trademark, because that's the name of the game. Class is Trademark 101. What are the different types of intellectual property? So now a trademark is one form of intellectual property. It's a word, phrase, symbol, or design, or any combination of those that is used to identify goods made or sold by you or the business itself. That's what your trademark. Now, excuse me, your service mark is the same thing for the most part. It is intellectual property, which is considered a word, a phrase, a symbol, or design, or any combination that's used by a business or a person to identify services. And you put that in advertisement of your services. So that would be a service mark. So if you sold a product, it would be a trademark. If you did a service, maybe you cut grass, or maybe you did house cleaning, something like that, then you would service mark that name. Trade secrets are same thing as intellectual property, but it's actually secrets that belong to the business that are used by that one entity and not known to your competitors, where like it's the secret sauce. It could be sales methods, advertising strategies. Think about it like the Coke soda and their secret sauce, as far as what, they always say they had something in it that was really, really good, the Coke soda. That is a trademark secret. Or KFC special stuff that makes them who they are, that's a trademark secret. So what are we trademarking? This is selecting a mark. So we have to think about what exactly we are doing and what we're trademarking. And remember, I'm going to take all your questions at the very end, so make sure that you write them down, because I'm sure that you have questions. I know this could be a lot of info, so I'm getting ready to pour a lot of stuff into you. So if this is the time that you need to take 3, let me know. Again, this is here because normally we have had a long class. So if you get your snacks right now, you want to jump up, cut the TV down, do whatever, this is the time for us to do it, because we're getting ready to go full speed, like full speed, and a lot of information for trademarking, but it's some good stuff. So let's get down to the answers. Let me get you what you came here for. Can something be copyrighted and trademarked? No. The answer is no. Intellectual property that can be trademarked cannot be copyrighted, and intellectual property that can be copyrighted cannot be trademarked. For example, a company can trademark its name and logo, but then it will have to copyright its videos and its books. So different forms can be done to it, but not the same thing for each thing. You know what I'm saying? So it can trademark, like I said, it can trademark the logo, it can trademark the name, but if it's doing books and videos, then it would copyright the books and the videos. You are only, again, trademarking the name, the brand, the logo, a phrase, things like that. So for instance, if this was SoundCloud, they have trademarked their logo, SoundCloud, and that orange cloud, but they probably copyrighted all the albums that come through their industry or through their business. That's how they lock in the album, protect the album rights through copywriting, and they protected their name through the trademarking. So what types of intellectual property can you register in North Carolina? And if you're not in North Carolina, we always ask the comment, because sometimes we get people who see these videos from other places. But let me know what state you're in. But what type of intellectual property can you register in North Carolina? You can only register trademarks and service marks in North Carolina. You only have the legal authority to do just those 2 here in North Carolina. Now, are there any benefits to owning a registered North Carolina trademark or service mark? Yes, there's lots of benefits. First of all, you're putting people on notice that that you are serious about your business, and you're letting people know, you're letting the state know, because you do go into a listing, that you're there, you exist, and you've covered that name. It also gives you recognition, because again, when you trademark, you put the symbol behind your name, the TM symbol behind your name. So it gives people recognition that you're a solid brand, that you've locked in the name, and no one can use the name. Legally, it covers you, and so no one can use the name. One thing that I have learned about, some people use the symbol and they don't legally have the right to use the symbol. So if at any point you ever got a letter from someone and someone said, hey, that symbol is my symbol, I need you to stop using it, that letter doesn't make anything happen. But if you get a court order, because the symbol is trademarked, a judge can enforce that request if you have the trademark. So that's the one thing about it. If you've trademarked the name and you do have that issue and a letter to the person doesn't work, then you have legal recourse to be able to go and say, hey, I need you to tell such and such to stop using my name, you know, and here's the paperwork. It gives you exclusive rights. Again, you've trademarked that lane. So it gives you exclusive rights in that lane. And if you hear keyword, I'm saying to you lane, because there's a lane. And we'll talk about that a little further on in the class. And lawsuits. Again, somebody say, hey, we're going to court. You have the legal rights. There's nothing that can be done because you paid, what you say, paid the cost to be the boss. That's exactly what you're doing when you're trademarking your brand. Now, this is the thing. I get questions that people they want to immediately jump to trademarking their brand. That is not the first step of practice to trademark your brand. I don't recommend going into a trademark with your brand unless you're making more than $20,000 to $30,000 or $50,000 a year. I really don't see, because the whole point of trademarking your brand is because you have so much traffic coming to your brand that you don't want people to get sidetracked and someone to say, you know what, that's some good stuff. Let me go open up the same thing. But until you get to that point, the trademark process is kind of a little ways down the line. It should not be the first thing that you think of when you're looking to do this, solidify or legitimize your business. So now, if I'm in the planning stage of my business and haven't used my trademark or service mark yet, can I go ahead and register it? Now, the answer is no. If you are if you're in startup phase right now, startup phase, that's the picture, and it's your idea, vision, your business model, innovation, all that kind of stuff, then you cannot go get this business trademarked. The one thing about the United States and Patent and Trademark Office, or even the process itself, they want you to already be moving with the mark. They want you to already, when it's time for you to apply, they want to be able to see something that's called specimens, and we'll talk about that. They want to know that you're already moving, and they want to see what your clients are already seeing. You cannot go to the trademark office in a preventative fashion and say, well, you know what, I'm about to get my business out here. I know it's going to be hot, so I'm going to get all my paperwork and all my ducks in a row, and I'm going to go ahead and legitimize my business. It doesn't work that way with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. You need to be moving in the mark. One of the biggest things, well, one of the best things about that is that they don't have a requirement on how long you've been moving. So you can move and be moving for a week or a month or 2 months or 3 months. It doesn't, they don't have a time frame on how long you should have been moving, but you have had to put your product and that mark out there in the world and have proof of you doing so. So you're going to have to do that first. So what is a specimen? We talked about them specimens, y'all. What is a specimen? A specimen is an actual item used in commerce on goods, products, or in a provision or advertisement of services. Acceptable specimens. Now, if you have a product, this is acceptable specimens that you're able to send in to the United States and Patent and Trademark Office as examples of your mark. Labels, tags, packaging material, and instructional manuals. Now, if you have a service, like you're cutting grass, consulting, whatever like that, then workbooks, manuals, brochures, flyers, magazine ads, websites, signs, billboards, and magazines. So just like in this picture, probably to your right, you see examples of specimens. What is a specimen? What these are is each one of these has the company's brand or logo on it. So if you see the first one, it has a brochure. At the very bottom, it shows you the company's brand, Vito or Ovito. That's their logo. On the stickers, it shows the Wolf Bakery. That's their brand logo. On the website, it shows you CMSAF Rolls logo. So they need to see what your clients are seeing. So that's what a specimen is. They want to see what you're putting out on products or on information that your clients are seeing as representing the mark. And the mark being your logo or your name or your brand. So that's where you'll have to provide them specimens to to prove how the mark is being used. So what qualifies as a bona fide use of a trademark in North Carolina? Your use of a trademark on your goods will qualify as a bona fide use. So now if you're doing goods sold in North Carolina with the mark, if they're on your products, if it's on your containers and your displays, if it's on your tags, if it's in your catalogs, if it's on your web pages. So just like this picture here has the white star logo on their tags, that's on their clothes, that's a representative of a specimen that they're using their mark on. So is there anything that cannot be registered or service mark in North Carolina? Yes, there is things that cannot be registered and service mark in North Carolina. If you have immoral or deceptive, scandalous material, it matter which, anything that's kind of represents something falsely or poorly, you can't use it. If it's a flag or a coat of arms or any kind of insignia of the United States or municipality, you may not be able to use it. It could be rejected. If it's the name of someone who you don't have written consent, or a portrait of someone and you don't have written consent to be able to use their picture. If you do a mark, and the mark, which is, and always when I'm saying your mark, it's your business's name. So if your business's mark is descriptive of the goods and the services that you're selling, meaning, for example, you couldn't name your business, say for instance, you did peanut butter. You couldn't name your mark, which is name of your business, Southern Creamy Peanut Butter, because that's a description of the peanut butter. So you couldn't put that as a name for your business. Now, could you put your name as Southern and then the brand is a peanut butter? Yes, but you couldn't in the name put the creamy peanut butter as a trademark name, because it describes what you're selling, is descriptive of what you're selling. If it is a surname, you can't use it if it resembles the mark of someone else. So when they're putting it in their system, if that mark resembles a mark of someone else, you can't use that mark. So these are things that are not guaranteed for you to be rejected, but these are just some reasons why you could possibly be rejected. So you definitely want to be mindful when you're getting something trademarked and getting a mark done, as to find out what it is you can and you can't do before you get the mark done. But most of the time, people's mark is a symbol or a personal name or something like that. It's pretty easy to get the mark done. So now, do I have to use an attorney or a registered trademark, or register a trademark or service mark? No, you don't have to use an attorney, but we are not an attorney. But if you feel comfortable, then an attorney may be best for you. Some people use an attorney because they just want legal advice. You can get a lot of questions answered if you got an attorney. So if you have more questions than what we provide here, and more legal questions about, products, and maybe you have a product that you're getting trademark, patent, and all that kind of stuff, then an attorney might be best to ask that legal advice. If you're not comfortable with the process, you're not sure about who, because like we do the trademark services, but a trademark attorney, that's their thing, so they can tell you definitely a lot of information to answer a lot of your questions. And you can also contact the Secretary of State's website or the United States Patent and Trademark Office's website. One of the things that I like about the United States Patent and Trademark Office's website is they give you gobs, I'm saying that word, of information. They want you to win at this. They want you to fill out these, and they want you to get this process done correctly. So they have videos on YouTube that are super informational, and they will help you get through this process, even if you're someone who is a little savvy, but you just want, some little additional help and information. The videos are super helpful. So if you want to take on this process and see how it go, I don't recommend it. But if definitely if you're someone who is all about information and obtaining it and execution, then try it out. Those videos are super helpful, and they walk you through everything on their website. So definitely for more information, go to the United States Patent and Trademarks Office website or go on YouTube. They have videos from them on YouTube. So now, questions. If I registered my trademark or service mark in North Carolina, does that mean other people can't register the same or similar trademark in some other states? No, it doesn't, because this is the thing. When you register your business, you can register it two ways, on a state level or on a federal level. So you're going to register your business on a state level. That means that someone else can actually apply in their state as well. Until you actually register on a federal level, which a lot of people don't know that you can register on the state level, and we'll talk about that. You're just covered in the state that you're in. Someone else can open up somewhere else in the same name, doing the same thing in another state if you're only opening on the state level. So now who can apply for a trademark or a service mark? Only the owner. The owner is the only person that can apply for a trademark or a service mark. Now, if you submit an application to register your trademark or service mark, are you guaranteed that your mark will be approved for registration? No. Remember, we talked about that. There is some things that can go through, that can be about your mark, that can cause you to be rejected in this process. So if I use a mark as a trademark and as a service mark, can you apply for both? You can apply for both. So say, for instance, you were someone who did hair. That's a service. And you wanted to trademark the hair lane on a service industry part, but then you decided to want to make products, shampoos and conditioners and excuse me, things like that. Then you would trademark your products. You trademarking that service mark or that lane of hairstylist does not trademark your lane of products. And we'll look at that. Trademarking is a lane and a class. I don't know why I'm keep sneezing. Trademarking is a lane. So when you trademark things, you are only trademarking something specific, not everything that's under that name. So if I produce a variety of goods or a variety of services, can I register all the goods and all the services on one application? Yes, only if the goods fall under the same classification. And that's what I was talking about. This is the biggest secret, or I won't say secret, piece of information that people are not aware of when they get into this trademarking lane. Larger industries that come into this lane, they trademark, they have little capital set aside for this at $10,000 and $20,000 and $30,000 a pop, because they trademark everything that's under their company. So for instance, if you are I'm going to show you. So one of the things I'm going to show you is, let me see if this is the next one. We're going to, let's see here. Because we're going to talk classifications. We're not going to take a break. We're going to talk classifications. All right. So what is your classification number? Because remember, so get your pens and paper ready. See, I got a little tongue tied. Because you need to know, I'm going to show you how this is set up so that you can see what lane you probably need to be classifying. One thing about the articles, the classification lane, 1 through 35 are services. 35 through 45, are products. 35 through 45 are services. So it all depends on which service. So let's come up out of this, and I'm going to take you to, let's look at this screen. This screen has international classification of services. So this is how you know what you're trademarking. So not only when you get ready to put the application in and you put your name and your logo and whatever, they're going to ask you, so what it is that you do, what you do, what you got going on, what is your lane? So this is how you do the classifications. So now these are, I'm going to start at the beginning. So these are 1 through 35. Now 1 through 35, remember I told you, are goods. So if you have products, you see how this is class number 1, class number 2, pharmaceutical, medical, hand tools. Okay, so let's go down for a minute. Say you opened up a boutique, and as you see, class number 14 has jewelry, pearls, alarm clocks, straps, watches, all that kind of stuff. Now, mind you, you sell jewelry in your boutique, but at the same time, you sell pocketbooks. And you see class number 18 is leather goods, handbags, wallets, shoes, briefcases. You cannot put both classes on one application. So you have to pick which one is most important or which one is going to bring you in the most money, or pay for two separate applications. Because one of the things, because this is two different classes, and if you sell different things that you want under that one brand name, then you have to do one application with class number 18 in your bags. Then you're going to have to do another application with class number 14 in your jewelry. And then let's see, if you start selling clothes, look at this. Number 25 gives you bathing suits, bras, shoes, hosiery, all this kind of stuff. Sporting goods. So this is the thing. If all your things don't fall under the one class number, and the things that you sell or that's really your business is about falls under another number, then you have to trademark that class too with that name. Because this is one of the things about this is, say your name was Betty Brown's Goods. So Betty Brown's Goods, she make boutique and she sell pocketbooks. But now I can open up in Betty Brown's Goods and I can sell jewelry, all because you didn't cover that name. You didn't cover that lane, that class. So if you don't cover that class, I have every right to open up in that lane. The only thing that may stop me is if my logo looks like yours. But if it's branded and the name is all you have, because every time you trademark, everybody doesn't trademark a symbol. Some people just trademark the name. So if it's just about the name and we got the same name, I'm subject to still be able to open at Betty Brown's Jewelry because you didn't cover that name. You didn't cover that class when you actually did your trademark. All you did was pocketbooks. So if one of the things, if you start growing and making money, I always recommend putting something aside if you know that you're going into another lane and you want to monopolize and lock that lane down with your name. So say for instance, okay, here we go with the services. 35 through 45, remember I said, are services. So you got advertising businesses. This list is crazy. From flea markets to food kiosks to income tax preparation to bookstores to auto parts stores, all that kind of stuff. Then we got insurance and financial. Then we got building, construction and repair, telecommunications, storage and transportation, treatment materials, education, computers, hotel, restaurant, medical, beauty. And look at this. This is medical, beauty, and agricultural. In this right here is flower arranging. Who would have ever thought that flower arranging would fall under this? And then you got your personal stuff. Animal adoption service, funeral homes, fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers you would think is a product, but it's actually a service. Rental of protective clothing and equipment, security guard services. So you would have to find whatever to me is really the brand that it represents and lock that name down. Or save a few dollars where you can lock down a few things at a time. So if you're a service business and you lock down maybe your cooking, but then eventually you decided to make something in some kind of sauce and sell it, then you're going to have to go back in and trademark the sauce. It is not automatically covered under your cooking trademark. So you have to go back in, pay the additional money, and get that one done as well. So we talked about the classification for your goods and for your services. At any point, you can go on the Secretary of State's website. That's where that information is listed, and take a look to see about your classification, because you definitely need to know your classifications before you get in the lane of trademarking. So what's the cost? You're like, Shey, look, you've been talking a lot of stuff, Shey. But what is this cost? What is the price for this? This is $75 on a state level. Remember we talked state and federal? The state level locks you down in the state. I definitely recommend to start with the state because of the process and how it goes. So for you to lock yourself down in the state of North Carolina, and this is only for North Carolina, different states, so prices will vary, $75. For you to file in a federal level, it's $275 to $600. And let me tell you why that price is what it is. One thing about the federal level, they like you to be registered in at least 2 states first. They prefer that. They prefer that you already get out there, go through this process, make sure that you're sure of yourself and go ahead and get in 2 states and register. One thing about that, when it comes time for you to do the TESA through the United States Patent and Trademark Office, which is their application name, it's going to be super easy. You've already, sent specimens in. You know how this process goes. You know what you can do and what you can't do. You've been through this. It's $275, one and done. They call that the easy TESA. $275, one and done. But say, you know what? You decided to start at the federal level. And you find, or they find working with you, getting this done, they've had to send back stuff. This wasn't right. You needed to send that. You forgot to send this. Then that bumps up to a $400 application. They're not finished. You're still needing a little bit more help than they anticipated. That $400 now is $600. The more they got to put their hands with you and work with you to get this thing done, and they'll do it, but they're going to charge you, and they're going to elevate that package, that application fee along the way to get things done. So if this might be trying and I'm just not ready and I don't even know if I have everything or whatever, and how this goes, plan to spend $600 and call it a day. But otherwise, if you want to be, protective and just want to see if this works for you, start on the state level first. So what's the difference in filing state and federal? A state trademark registration can usually be processed and approved more quickly than a federal one. State trademark registration does not give you the right to use the R symbol. You may use the TM for trademark or the SM for service mark. So you probably see a lot of times people are using that registered trademark symbol. They don't have no business. One of the good things about state filing is cheaper because it's just $75. You can get an approval in less than 2 weeks. And the con about it is you're state restricted. It's what you covered in this state. And if you're not somebody who is having business all over the United States and you're really a service business, it doesn't matter. The state is where it's at for you. Because if somebody opens up a lawn care business in Utah, it's not going to hurt your business right here in Charlotte. So the state business definitely service trademarking on a state level is definitely where it's at for service businesses to me. So now if you're on a federal, it is more expensive because it is $275 to $600, but it's $225 to $400 additional more. It's done in 2 to 3 months. It's not a one and done. It takes a little bit because they're having to check worldwide information, United States information for the most part. So that process is a lot longer because they're looking through so many more different things and more marks to make sure that yours don't match. But one of the benefits, it supersedes any state trademark, So that's the benefit of you being on a federal, because it supersedes any trademark on the state level. And those things only matter if you ever had court. So now how long does the registration process? Again, on the state level, it's 1 to 2 weeks. If you don't have any deficiencies, they give you, or even if they've identified some deficiencies, give it 3 weeks to make corrections. It's done in about 45 days. But other than that, the registration application is completed properly. All your specimens are good. If there's no deficiencies, it takes about a week or 2 to get this process done. So the question I get, will I have to do anything after my registration is completed? No, mark your calendar. 5 years, you'll need to submit an affidavit of use. And what that means is in 5 years, they're going to contact you and they're going to say, hey, business, are you still doing business? They're going to knock you and say, hey, business, is you still doing business? And then you can say yay or nay. So now if you say to them, well, yeah, I'm still doing business, then they're going to say, send me an advertisement. They're going to say advertisement. They're going to say, send me a specimen. And your specimen is some of your advertisements, your workbook, your material, something to them to show that the mark is still being used 5 years later. This is the thing. That mark needs to look exactly the same way it looked 5 years ago. You can't add glitter. You can't say, well, you know what? I rebranded and I updated my mark. I changed the color in my mark. You can't do any of that because then you have to start all over and get it trademarked all over again. That mark has to be exactly the same way you submitted it 5 years ago in order for it to keep on passing for another 5 or 10 years. But the marks, every 5 years, they're gonna send for an affidavit about that mark to check. Will they ask you for any money? They're not gonna ask you for no money, but they're gonna want you to send them a specimen. And that mark cannot be changed 5 years down the line in no way, shape, or form. Can you allow someone else to use my mark? Of course you can. You can rent your mark out. If your mark was a good idea or a good name or whatever, you can put it on for lease or sale. I mean, because it's your mark. It's just like property. So if you want to lease it to someone, or maybe you and business partners are no longer business partners, but they still want to use the name, they can actually pay you to use the mark. How can I know if a mark like mine is already registered? You would need to search the database, the business registry. So let's really quickly go to that business registry so you can see what that looks like. This is the United States Patent and Trademark Office's website. So this is what you should be coming up on if you are looking for information and about to apply. So say for instance, trademarks. So do you see, you see it says right here, search trademarks. You can actually search your trademarks right here in this right here. And what you'll do is you'll be able to search the test because it's called the Trademark Electronic Search System. But you can search their database for your mark. Now they'll show you names, all that kind of stuff. It's free, but they tell you what to expect, all of that. So it's a lot of information, but you can actually go and see if someone out there is moving like you moving just by looking at their website. And we're going to get questions in a few, so just hold your horses. So can marks registered with the United States Patent and Trademark Office at the federal level affect my mark being approved for registration in North Carolina? It's possible. If the mark is similar to one on the federal level, they will let you know. They will send you information saying it looks like XYZ, this needs to be changed, that needs to be changed, this is not right. They will let you know. So do not get discouraged if you do get a letter saying that your mark is similar to someone else's. How long does my registration last? Your registration lasts for 10 years. 10 years. Your mark is effective for 10 years as long as you renew and submit an affidavit every 5. So in 5 years, they might charge you a renewal. 10 years a renewal fee, but for the first 10 years, you're good as long as you submit that affidavit 5 years in. So what should I do if I receive a deceased letter or order to stop using the mark? You get legal advice, because this is the thing. If you get a person, and we talked about that early on, sending you a letter saying, hey, I need you to stop using my mark, you can decide if you want to take that into action. Me personally, I don't know about, you can either choose to wait and see if they want to take you to court because the court can enforce it. Or, hey, ask them, say, look, send me some trademark papers. Send me something that legitimizes, that says this is legally your mark. And if they can't send that to you, then you don't stop using anything, because the only person that can enforce you to stop using that mark is a judge. And they will only enforce it if it's trademark, because that gives ownership. So if you get a cease and desist letter, if it's not coming from a judge, I wouldn't even pay any attention to it. So what could cause you to lose your mark? Either you request to cancel because maybe you're not working in the business anymore. If you fail to submit your 5-year affidavit, cause you to lose your mark. Again, a court order could tell you to stop you losing your mark. And if you have any issues with the Secretary of State, it can cause you to lose your mark because it's tied to the Secretary of State. So, but everything is good. I mean, depending on them, everything is good. So let's go over what these symbols mean, okay? Because the TM, remember we talked about that. That's your trademark symbol. That's the SM is your service mark symbol, and the R is your registered trademark symbol. So those are so if we're doing on the state level, the first 2 marks we use on the state level, TM or SM, depending on our business. On the federal level, that's when we use the R, on the federal level only. The R symbol indicates that a mark is federally registered with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So this is the thing. Some people, because you can get that mark in your texts, in your little text emojis, and in your computer, like that mark is so easy to pull up and put next to your name that some companies use it as a scare tactic to scare you from not, locking in their name or making them look a little bit more legitimate. And this is the thing. You can check them out. Because a lot of companies and a lot of businesses don't go through the process to get this done. So you can research it and actually just use the name if it's not a legitimate, because they choose to use it as a scare tactic, but that's not smart. The smart thing to do is to put the application in and actually legitimize it and trademark the business. So if they don't do that, and want to take the time that it takes, they stick that behind it like it's going to hold some power. And they might get the wrong person that does a little digging and say, you know what, this business is not even registered. The name is not even in use. I'm going to lock it and load it. That's the thing about it. So you got to make sure that you do your homework and don't look at another business that has the trademark and get intimidated or fear in any way, because some people use it and they really don't have the right to use it. So just be mindful of that when you see it. Don't get scared. Don't get scared. Now, denial of registration. What happens in this process? Luckily, I love the fact that they do not let things just go. If you are denied, it will not be the end of the world, because they're going to help you get that thing back on track. So the first thing that you're going to do is request for reconsideration. Now, you can automatically because you can say, hey, I did everything I was supposed to do. Can you just be sure I looked, I didn't see anything, and you put a request in. So say, for instance, that request, doesn't do good. Now, if that request doesn't do good, then you can actually request a petition for a director to do. And that's like, look, I've submitted everything I possibly submitted. I need to know why my stuff is doing it. An application can be, and that's getting a petition by the secretary for them to review the initial refusal. They want to see why the person refused you in the first place. That's what you're going to go to them and get them to look at. So now, say for instance, now you just know again that this person said, nope, I agree, you got refused, we're going to stay with this. You still don't have to stop there. That's when we have something called a writ of mandamus. And that's when you go beyond the issues, you know what I'm saying, and of that final refusal, and you want to speak to someone in a court to compel your registration, because you've done everything that you needed to do. You put the paperwork in, and for whatever reason they're denying you. The writ may be granted without cost to the secretary on proof that all the statements in the application are true and the mark is entitled. So even if you get denied, depending on the reasons, you can still fight and push and go over and go over. It's set that way. Because sometimes people can get denied for color. and then you change it. That's the one thing about when you're doing your service mark and your applications. It asks you, are you putting colors? Because then you're locked into those specific colors, or do you want this mark just branded in black and white? I always recommend simple stuff, because if you put colors, you have to stick with those colors. And thing about it is if someone does anything duplicate and you only locked in those colors, and maybe theirs is in a totally different color, they can get away with getting approval, because you only solidify your colors. Now, if you solidify it in black and white, that means that in any color it comes in, it's something, then you got the right to be okay with them trying to think, well, you have the more option to say, or to say to them, well, in any color it comes in, it's mine, versus you having solid specific colors, which some people do because that's their brand. Their brand, like my cleanest can be, was yellow and black, period. So I didn't care if it was somebody did it in red and blue, because yellow and black was my colors. So that's what we branded. So if you're a brand that has specific colors, then yeah. But think about it like Walmart, and you see that yellow sign everywhere. They've also branded it, whereas regardless if you see it on something and it's their symbol, but it's their symbol in a white or whatever, it, they locked it in as at a solid, black and white, and probably yellow too. So you just want to be careful when you're filling out that application to make sure that you put exactly how you want to lock it in, lock your mark in. And all of this information is provided by the Trademark and Patent Office and North Carolina Secretary of State. Rules, policies, all of them are the same across the United States for the Patent Office. State fees and applications, they do vary from state to state, especially if you're getting this done on a state level. But again, we're going to go over questions, and if you have any ones, you can hit me directly after this, or you can actually inbox them to me at info@business911.com. These two sites right here are the ones that we actually looked at, sosnc.gov and the United States, USTPO.gov. So those are the ones that you visit to get more information. If you're in North Carolina, that's what the first one is for. And the second one is on the federal level. So anybody from anywhere watching this can actually look at that on a federal level. If you want to sit down with me and you want me to help you with your trademarking and you want me to help you get things done, you can actually just, hit me up on my website at sheymorton.com. Visit the website, schedule a consultation. If you have questions, I provide a 15-minute consultation, or we can provide the service to you. So just make sure if you need any classes or any coaching that you visit sheymorton.com. And this was the Trademark 101 class. So we're going to go into Q&A, and I'm going to actually stop recording just so we can get some questions.